Lea Clothing Co is a fashion brand, a sustainable fashion brand for the young Indian consumer. The three foundational pillars of our brand are body positivity, size inclusivity, and sustainability. And if there's ever a special occasion in your life, Lea is where you come to. All of my special occasions I've worn Lea. We have messages saying 3 birthdays, I'm sharing these images, all 3 birthdays I've worn Lea dresses.
My God.
I grew up feeling very uncomfortable because the sizes that I needed as a growing woman, it just wasn't accessible. Our team actually, I think it's 85% female.
Wow.
And that was, I would say it was a very intentional choice because I did want that representation. And I love to see young, passionate, ambitious women building this. First person who really put us on the map was when Kusha Kapila wore our Carla in our mauve shade. And in one day, we got sales of over 2.5 lakhs.
Wow.
And for that was literally, I think 15 to 20 days in of launching. And that was huge.
Yeah. Bootstrap brand to have that much reach across, your pages is insane.
And without spending a single penny. Your product has to speak for itself.
Yeah.
You can try to pay people to promote it as much as you want, but if the product is shit, if that is to use a Hindi word, khokla, it's not going to perform. People would ask, why should I pay you $48.90 to buy this dress? I could buy it from Zara. And one thing, and that's where the quality aspect came in. I was like, respectfully, you can't find this at Zara.
Building one of India's fastest growing, new age, sustainable, size inclusive fashion brands. That too while still being bootstrapped. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome Lavanya Aneja, founder and CEO, Lea Clothing Company, as part of the ACLR8 Summer 24 program. Lavanya, super excited to host you today. Thank you for choosing ACLR8 as a partner in your growth journey. We are very excited.
Yeah, I think the feeling is completely mutual. I am very excited to be here and have this conversation, Karan.
Amazing. So, Lavanya, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lea Clothing Company? What does the company do? What is your vision? What is the kind of brand that you're trying to build?
Of course. So Lea, we started Lea back in January of 2021. It was actually a COVID baby.
So it's been about 2 years.
3 years, now 3. We actually just celebrated our 3rd birthday last month in January. Yeah, very great milestone. But it started as a alternate to, so when I actually came back, I studied in LA for my undergrad. And I think when I was there, I got exposed to a lot of really amazing boutique brands that were coming up and more so female founded brands that were doing such amazing work. And for me, I think my family has been in garment export for over 25 years.
Interesting.
So fashion is something that I just grew up with. It was constantly around and I experienced a lot of the back end stuff with my father. So that was something that I was always really drawn to. And getting exposed to a lot of those, I would say, boutique brands and brands that were doing something really different to what your, say, regular mass market or fast fashion brands are doing. That was something that really intrigued me. And when I came back to India, I kind of found myself struggling to find
those brands in India.
Brands. I was just like, I don't want to be wearing just the same Zara. I don't want to be supporting the brands where because sustainability also was a topic of conversation that was coming up. And I was like, I don't feel right utilizing my purchasing power and giving it to brands whose mission or I guess the vision I
you don't associate with.
Exactly. And it was really hard to find those kind of brands, especially homegrown brands, where they were doing really fresh and unique take on fashion. And it wasn't something that you could actually add and build a capsule wardrobe with. Funnily enough, actually, I remember searching because corsets, wearing one right now, of course, were something that had become really popular. And I think as curvier women, as we Indian women tend to be, it is such a good silhouette for our bodies. So I came back and I remember searching on Google, corsets online India.
And there wasn't even one brand.
Nothing.
So that's the white space that you saw.
Because I wanted to purchase it for myself. And I was like, I don't want to be paying, I can order from an international website, but the customs, duties,
$50 for
oh
delivery.
My God, I know. And not even delivery, but with customs duties, it becomes double the amount. And I was like, this will sound cliche, but there's got to be a better way. So that's how the idea really came to me, where I really saw that white space one for unique occasion wear and fashion to celebrate your, the big occasions in life. That's not just the basics. That's not just your run-of-the-mill stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how the idea for Lea came to be.
Yeah.
And I think I knew from the very beginning, I definitely wanted it to be a very mission and vision driven brand.
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember like speaking with I got introduced to a designer because I understood like the brand identity was going to be so essential. And the first thing that I told her, I think she was the first person I spoke to about that, the 3 brand foundational pillars, as we like to call them. One, it was going to be all around sustainability, size inclusivity, and body positivity. And those even with my team, I like to call them our North Star. So if ever we feel like you're not sure where to go or are confused about something or like really not certain about where things may be going, we just have to follow our North Star. Is it in line with the initial mission that we actually came out to do?
Being size inclusive, being body positive, and promoting sustainable fashion.
Yes.
So when you talk about sustainable, like, is it to do with the fabric? Is it like how you're sourcing? Is it like molded into your entire business and the company philosophy?
I actually love having this conversation because funnily enough, I used to have a podcast before I started Lea, and I think one of the people who I learned so much about sustainability and what it actually means besides just that buzzword is Kriti Tula, who's the founder of Doodlage, which was one of the first truly sustainable brands in the country.
And this is like back when sustainability was not very cool as well.
Exactly. And it wasn't just like the
buzzword
thing that
correct.
Everybody was trying to greenwash. So I really got, I would say, a masterclass in what it really means to be sustainable. Because it's a really good question, Karan, that you ask. A lot of the times people think it's just the fabric or the raw material that's going into it. It's so much more. Of course, that's a very integral part of it, but how are you producing that, your garments? How are you paying your labor? Is your labor getting ethical treatment? Are you paying them living wages? Are you ensuring that the whole process is sustainable in a way that even the people who are making the clothes, they can live fulfilled lives? Our artisans, right? Like Indian artisans, they're the best in the world. And a lot of it, we know with fast fashion especially, there's so much exploitation of labor to produce those kind of pieces at dirt cheap prices, which is not sustainable.
Correct.
So
is there a certification for this, or like is it like a process that you guys follow and then every company does this on their own?
So there are multiple certifications that you can get. So like some that we have is like we only use GOTS certified cotton. So like the Better Cotton Initiative, the GOTS certification. There are a lot of these different certifications that you can get for particularly more so in the production process as well as the sourcing of the fabric, so we should go about it. And even utilizing recycled fabric. That's something that we love. I love doing that. I actually launch our latest launch. The entire swimwear collection is made up of 100% Econil fabric, and Econil is like 80% recycled nylon, and the rest is spandex, and it's one of the foremost fabrics that are really and because it's made of ocean waste and utilizing those.
Very interesting.
So I think one, of course, you can get the certifications, but then I feel like that's still very surface level.
Interesting.
Because let's be real, we're in India.
Correct.
A lot of things can be made.
And
you see so many brands like Zara Nation, and they're just greenwashing, right? Like, oh, this is the sustainable collection. How? You're using PU leather that utilizes, I don't even know how many tons of water to get made with the polyester fabric.
Are you even recycling the material that you're using? What about the wastes and all? How are you managing that?
When the whole recycle program, and you see the landfills where that recyclled product ends up going. So it's a lot of it, like I said, you can get those certifications and get those tags to make the consumer feel like, okay, I did something good, pat on my back.
But as long as it's not part of your mission, like you're not really actually driving towards it.
Exactly. So, that's what even in my conversation with Kriti, what she said was like, for bigger businesses, once it's been built and those systems are in place,
then it's very difficult to then
inculcating sustainability as an afterthought is going to be a massive task. But building a company with sustainability like built into it, and the whole foundation is all around it. Now that's where you really can make a change.
Interesting. And like, what about your other two pillars, right? Like size inclusivity and body positivity. I think they've also been kind of misused and they've been buzzwords as well, right?
Oh my God,
so is this like also? Is it like a passion statement as well, or is it like more of a business opportunity as well, being more size inclusive and offering a product to more Indian consumers as well?
I would say both. So for me, there is a personal journey as well. I think growing up, we never really saw representation of the Indian woman in mainstream media, right? The entire idea of beauty was so Eurocentric in its conversation around it. All that you were supposed to aspire towards is you have to be fair as you can get, be as skinny as you can be, and have like hair that's not curly or frizzy, have it be straight.
And if it's curly or frizzy, it's called rukhe sukhe bal.
Exactly. I have been called like so many names because I do have naturally curly hair, and nobody teaches you how to.
And Indian women have natural curly hair.
And that's the thing. The things that we've been blessed with now, people in the West, they're paying to get that stuff, right? Like the curves and the whole thing. And I think that, speaking for me, but I would say like that, I think that's a statement that would resonate with a lot of women. It really, really has an impact on you. And the kind of body image that you do understand, because you never see beauty being associated with who you are. Like people who are being, praised in magazines or occupying your screens in cinemas or even in TV serials, they're all looking away in which like 90% of the population is never going to look.
Correct, for sure.
Right? Like it was such a big thing to have a dusky actress. We have brown skin. And we have curvier bodies. So I think that for me, like really, really had a massive impact in terms of how I grew up with my body image. And I did struggle with body dysmorphia and even with an eating disorder for a very long time. And that's something that I've been very vocal about because I know that's such a prevalent issue that doesn't get talked enough about in the country. And that was the reason why body positivity, it had to be a part of it. Because at the end of the day, this is something that I even say to my team. If you have that platform and you are creating content in a way, and you have the
platform to talk about it,
and to actually increase and actually have representation happen. If you're not doing it, then what's the point?
Correct.
How are you different? Why are you doing this?
Correct.
So for me, it was a no-brainer. It's just like, if this is going to happen, of course, we're going to do something about it. You can't just talk about it. And funnily enough, we were the first brand. I remember like our launch shoot, we were shooting with Sakshi Sanwani and Apurva Rampal. Now, both of whom are huge. The biggest, I would say, two of the biggest plus size models in the country now. At that time, they had just launched their career. I think Apurva had a first shoot with us. And I remember even Sakshi saying, it's like, I love that you have a plus girl, not just for a campaign shoot, for those, those token kind of shots, but for your lookbook.
Correct.
And that was, that
even the launch lookbook currently, right? Like I was going through it, like it's like such like so inclusive.
Because that's just, and I understand why a lot of brands do shy away from it, because there is more work involved. Of course, you're not being the sample size. So you got to put in that extra effort, but that is effort that's worth it. Really putting in. And that, Karan, I can't tell you the way that resonated with our audience. I actually have like a folder in my phone of screenshots, especially in the initial days, the kind of messages that we got from women saying things like, I never thought that I could wear something like this till I saw your page. And I saw someone who looked like me wearing it.
And I felt confident to wear it.
And it was just like, thank you so much. And it was actually impacting women in such a real way and changing their relationship with their body. Just think of the power of that. So
and I can just sense the passion with which you built the brand. And I mean, like, kudos to you for actually, picking up this such important topic and actually using a platform to talk about it and building a business around this. I think it's like super important. More founders need to kind of build this not from a business opportunity but also as a platform to actually influence and create more.
Because when you are doing that and you're trying to create it, I mean, the vision is like, the whole idea is that you want to create something that will have influence.
Correct.
So create in a way that it's going to be that good influence that you can be proud of. Right? And like the second part of the size inclusivity, another message, like, part
is that also very specific to the Indian women audience? Like,
honestly, yes, because I can't say this enough, but all of the plus size brands that are there in our country, there is no brand that does, just their whole catalog will be in all the sizes. There's like a straight size section and there's like this little plus section that just had mostly shapeless clothing.
Even if you're a plus size brand, and
it was always big shapeless clothing that were meant to like conceal quote unquote flaws. And there was no understanding of how to actually dress bigger bodies to celebrate bigger bodies. Because bigger bodies are also beautiful. And that was just like not even a part of the vocabulary at that time. And funnily enough, I actually got a lot of pushback even internally from my team. Like in our factory, when we were making those things, I remember one of my merchants asking, "Ma'am, ये 3XL में कोई ऐसी चीज पहनना क्यों चाहेगा? हम क्यों बना रहे हैं ऐसा?"
या फिर आप 30 sizes क्यों बना रहे हो?
And I was like, that's the exact mentality that we're trying to change and question. And I really had to fight for that. The business idea, because of course you're increasing your SKUs and you're adding a lot in terms of like technical complexity in terms of the production process as well. But again, like I said, that's worth it. Effort that's worth it.
I think one very interesting thing about your background has also been like your whole exposure like with your family business and growing up in the space which was surrounded by fashion, right? So is that something that also gives Lea a right to win today, just because of like a massive supply chain expertise and like what you've learned over your family business and like managing sizes like supply chain at such a complex sizes across the whole process?
100%. 100%, because I'm very privileged in to have that kind of infrastructure, right? And I wanted to use that privilege to kind of have impact again and utilize that. And that's where like the sustainability aspect initially how it came in was because I understood that in export there tend to be a lot of surplus that honestly just goes to waste, because with the big orders when you're working with international brands, you kind of have to have 20% extra whatever you're ordering, and this is like we're talking in thousands and thousands of meters of fabric. So 20% adds up.
It's a lot.
And then like no other export house can actually use those small quantities to make those big batch orders and fulfill them. So then a lot of these surplus fabrics then like trickle down, either they just like are there and rotting in the storage room like rats eating through it, or they go to other markets, and like it's like a whole cycle where there was a lot of wastage. And I saw that and I was like, you know what, what if we use this export surplus fabric, because we were planning on doing small batch production. I never wanted to like just create massive inventory, assume that सबको ये पसंद आएगा, मेरे को पता है, because I am just like a very big believer in design thinking. Like I love it, and the whole idea is just test and repeat. Right? You can't know what your consumer wants till you test out your hypothesis.
And you can't be in love with your product and then expect that it'll sell 1 lakh units.
If just because I like it doesn't mean other people have to. Right? Like you can't be so self-centric in that. And that was one thing that I did a lot of courses for particularly design thinking, and it really just changed everything for me. Where they always say that the feedback loop has to be very short, very quick, and like with the least amount of, I would say, like capital put in. Test out your hypothesis.
And then also being able to forward deploy at scale, so that if you have a hero product, you can just go back and then execute.
And that's how it just became something where we had to start with like very small in terms of the capital that was required. But then like I said, like within 3 months of actually being live, we broke even, and after that we were profitable. Because it clicked. And we had our hero product. Because that actually going next into it, which I think is one of our biggest USPs, is the kind of marketing expertise that we have.
For sure, we'll talk about that. So what is, and your journey has been like really inspirational for being a bootstrap brand, growing so fast, right? Building such an amazing community of people like who really adore the brand, right? So like, just tell us about the current scale of the business. Like what are your average order values? Like how many customers you have? Like how fast are you kind of growing? And where do you see the business going in the next couple of years?
And as we turn 3, we have over 40,000 happy Lea customers that we have been serving, and that's the thing. So since we wanted to actually get into occasion wear, our price point was more premium than what the standard would be. Which
I think that's a very interesting segment to also put, because people are generally very okay spending a lot more on occasion wear. And like when you go on the Lea website, one thing that's very interesting is that even though occasion wear is the average order value is higher, I mean it's still affordable as compared to like a lot of the other competitors. So the quality is good, the fabric is great. Obviously there's a Michelin brand, but then I mean it's still very affordable.
We back it up. Quality is something like your product has to speak for itself. Like you can try to pay people to promote it as much as you want, but if the product is shit, if that is like, to use a Hindi word, khokla, it's not going to perform. You can pay like the biggest Bollywood stars to wear it, but if it's not a good product, it's not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable. So that's why the quality is definitely there, but our average order value, that's why is pretty high now. It's actually grown significantly. I think we started with something around like 2,500, which then I think few months on went to like 4,800.
Yeah.
And now 3 years in, now it's closer to 7,200.
Insane. I mean, like, tell me a D2C brand which is an average order value of 7,200.
Yeah.
That's like amazing.
And that's something I feel so proud of, because initially it was an uphill battle. Like, people would ask, why should I pay you 48.90 to buy this dress? I could buy it from Zara.
Correct.
And one thing, and that's where the quality aspect came in. I was like, respectfully, you can't find this at Zara. You can go try and try your luck, but you're not going to find this there. That's why, because we had such a strong differentiator, and the quality was just the craftsmanship that we have, again, because of the infrastructure.
Correct.
Our backbone, our tailors, our master Gs, and like even our Adda masters, I am honestly every day in awe of their talent.
Yeah, amazing.
I am in awe. And the first corset, like, we got famous for corsets. The first corset that we made, it took 6 renditions to get it right. That was the first time that even these guys were creating something that was that technically complex.
Correct.
Kudos to them. They were so up for the challenge. And we kept on going. So I was like, no, this fit isn't right. I think it can be better. Okay, we need to do double lining, and maybe let's try fusing to give that sculpted look. And this is our hero product that kind of
correct.
put us on the map.
So they were the first ones to do this.
And we launched corsets in India before your Zara, H&M, anyone did.
Correct.
And it was the right space, right time, right product, right fit, and that's how it just blew up.
Interesting.
So that's why, like, our AOV is pretty high, and another metric that I'm so proud of is our repeat customer rate. It's grown consistently, and I know, like, especially for fashion brands, that is, they struggle to even have it in those double digits. For us, it's now above 30%.
Wow. And this would be like on a monthly basis, the amount of revenue that you get is 30% from repeat customers, or it's like
no, like 30% like retention rate. If
okay, like over what period? This would be
like even if monthly, if we're talking about, so like 30%, like people are coming back to us and purchasing from us.
Got it.
So it's like the loyalty is really high. And I kid you not, I got a call from some customer saying, you know what, all occasion where I've worn, like all of my special occasions I've worn Lea. We have messages saying 3 birthdays, I'm sharing these images, all 3 birthdays I've worn Lea dresses.
My God, amazing.
So people, when they come, they stick.
Yeah.
So that's something that, because you can't just keep on putting money down the drain to acquire new customers.
Correct. It's always
and not
retain
them.
Yeah.
So our retention rate is so high, and
I think your referrals would also be very high. Like when people wear it, people would ask, where did you get this from? And then that becomes like a second source of acquisition.
People love to talk about it. Like that's what I say. If you have a good product,
it makes people feel confident and makes people feel amazing. They would talk about it.
Why wouldn't you?
If
it's something like, oh my God, this is so sculpting, and I love how this looks and fits, you have to check these guys out. And that's what it was. That's why, without having to invest, I would say even a penny in marketing, our customers did the work for us.
Amazing.
And they just loved the product as much, and that they
and
just
are all these customers like acquired through your website, or you, like what's the channel split currently? Like, are you also on marketplaces like Nykaa Fashion, Jio?
Yes. So we initially started only with our e-commerce website, no other marketplaces. And it was completely, fully, organically, everything coming through our website. And the kind of traffic that we were able to generate initially, it was really
so because the right product, right time again.
Exactly. And now we are on almost every major marketplace. We're there on Nykaa Fashion, we're there on Ajio Lux, Azza Fashions, Pernia's pop-up shop, Tata Click Luxury, and soon enough even will be going live on Myntra. And but still, the split is so that people come and buy from our website more. 65% of my orders and revenue, they come from my own website.
Very interesting.
And the rest, and we're growing through marketplaces as well. Like marketplaces, they feel so enthused. Like if I talk about Pernia's, we just onboarded. I think just from the first month to the second, we saw 5x growth.
Wow. And
even my POC, they were like, we really want to, this brand is getting crazy traction. Usually we have to invest money to even get a little bit of those orders. And without anything, every day there are queries. And people are loving the product. So I feel like I think there's a lot of potential to grow revenue through those marketplaces. And recently we've kind of expanded even the number of marketplaces that we've been at. And I think we're definitely going to be growing that stream as well. But our e-commerce storefront is, of course, the first priority.
And I think obviously it was the right product, right time, great vision, but also great marketing. I think you touched upon it, right? I think, you look at any creator, any influencer. They're spotted in Lea today.
They would.
Right? So give us some, secret sauce here. Like, how do you kind of go about it? How do you work with these celebrities? how do you create such amazing content, right? Like, I mean, that's like all over Instagram today.
Yeah, because 95% of our traffic comes through Instagram, through social media.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
and for a bootstrap brand to have that much reach across, your pages is insane.
And without spending a single penny.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Interesting.
Because that's where the secret sauce comes in, right? And one, of course, the quality of the product. But initially, I think before launching the brand, did a lot of research. Like, I think digital marketing as well as like social media marketing, that was something that I was really passionate about.
Yeah.
That's the field that I even worked in after I graduated from uni at the cusp of, say, data analytics, digital marketing, and AI. And I had so many, and like I got such a good understanding of the power of UGC, user generated content, because the company that I was working with, they were exclusively working with like the biggest brands,
correct,
Walmart, Coca-Cola, everything, because they understood the power of user generated content. And so I would say I have like a whole notebook full of
ideas,
notes, like research. Honestly, I would say I did a lot of research because initially getting off the ground, it takes a lot.
It's difficult, and to get such mega influencers to kind of be endorsing your brand without spending a penny, I think,
So the secret was like, more than anything, I think understanding that anyone who is anyone, I think they've received a DM, a email, follow-ups. I was just like, even in my team now, it's just like, be besharam. You have to be consistent and persistent. And you have to be top of mind. Doesn't matter if like a new collection is launching, before we even take it live, the lookbook will be ready the next day of the shoot and will be sent out to all stylists and all of the influencers that we work with. This is our new stuff. So even before the launch.
So influencers, like the stylists would kind of give it to the influencers, they would try it, and then they would get you the pictures back, which
and they loved it. Like, I think the first person who like really put us on the map was when Kusha Kapila wore our Carla in our mauve shade. And I think at that time I used to do everything on social media. It was like all DIY'd. I had one intern who, like, I think I was coming back from like a workout class. She's like, oh, should I repost like the stories that Kusha and Aisha, her stylist, had posted? I was like, what? And I cannot tell you the kind of Karan, it was insane. I think overnight we got over 5,000, 6,000 followers.
Wow.
There were so many comments asking for the price for the link. We could not reply fast enough.
Thing.
We had the comments and like sending the message got blocked because there were so many. And in one day, like we got sales of over 2.5 lakhs.
Wow.
And for like, that was like literally, I think 15 to 20 days in of launching. And that was huge. And that's why in the first 3 months only, we got like, we did revenue of like 23 lakhs. And that was, for me, I was very proud because we had barely put anything in.
Correct.
And the thing is that even when like Kusha, the way she wore the things and like she gave us so much content. I knew one of my friends at the time who was in influencer marketing. It's like the kind of content that you've gotten, if they were to charge for it, it would probably cost you like 6-7 lakhs to get that. We got stories, we got videos, we got reels, we got posts, because she just loved the product so much. Like even her style, she was like, she loves the pieces. Can she like keep those? She really wants to wear, and she was like, she wants more. And she just consistently also wore it. And then from everyone, I remember like then Komal Pandey, Meera Rajput, all of them, they were messaging. Was like, can I also get your corset? I would love to get that. And it was just like, I was just having like a pinch me moment. I was like, oh my God. But that really just changed the game.
Interesting.
And another thing that I realized, I just kept creating content on myself. One day I was like, you know what?
You were the face of the brand.
I started making reels in my brother's bathroom. He has been the unpaid content creator of my, even with my mom, we're shooting content. Every day I was wearing and posting, and like something really clicked. We were organically getting like 8,000, 9,000 likes on our posts. People just going crazy for the kind of styles we had. And I immediately did another shoot understood, okay, what was working. And then curated the whole collection around that. And quickly, with a very quick turnaround time, because we didn't invest as much into creating just, a bunch of inventory.
Correct.
Then
just have 4-5 hero products and then test them out and then scale them.
We test the hypothesis, understood what's worked, and then, reiterated and like just doubled down on it. And then it just blew up. And another thing that really, in our second shoot, which I wasn't sure would work, because we had been doing more, I would say, glam and say maybe more sexier styles. But I was like, you know what? I want to do maybe like some really feminine and girly things, because I feel like femininity is something that it's always so like, women are told like, oh, don't be too girly, don't be this thing. And I was just like, I wanted to celebrate femininity unapologetically. That's why even the name Lea comes from. It actually means...
What does it mean?
It means lioness in Latin.
Oh, interesting.
And the whole idea was to celebrate the ferocity, the compassion, the generosity, like that juxtaposition of, you know, what it is to be a woman. Strong, capable, and just soft and nurturing, and it was the whole idea of the brand was just to celebrate women. And I really wanted them to unapologetically be feminine, and we're known. So like there was one dress, our Pixie, which was our second hero product that
again
just
in the
went
occasion
viral.
where again under Lea, the main brand.
It was like a very poofy kind of a dress with like a lace-up corset style, and again, it was right around the time that Bridgerton came out. So everyone was obsessed with corsets.
So is one of the secrets is also like actually looking at trends and cultural moments and pop culture.
Oh yeah. I think my screen time used to be too high, but anything we knew. And I was like, we have to be on top of it. Right?
It's and almost like giving people what they would like to wear
before they even know it.
And
like those things would go viral right after. Right? Like, and it was just like, but we had already done it, so everyone was coming to us for it. And again, that was the dress, which was one of our priciest items at that time. It was for $48.90, and we used to get so many comments like, "Why?"
So that's when the AOV started increasing from the 2,500
to the. It took a while. Initially, there was so much interest, but not as much conversion for it. And then I think maybe a month in, some influencers also started wearing it, and it was just. It still is to this day. Even I have a Pixie in my closet. I think. That's like one of our, even now, we I think have 7 or 8 colors and embroideries and iterations. It's like our signature thing. And then people just started buying because they understood that. I literally was like, it was like, oh, we can buy from Zara. Why is it so expensive? It was just like, but you can't. You won't find that there. The kind of craftsmanship, the kind of quality, the kind of fit. Because there was a neat understanding of the Indian female body.
Actually, Lavanya, talk to us about this. Like how challenging it is to kind of like from a supply chain perspective to manage a brand across these many sizes, like have that perfect fit and still be like an online brand with low return rates, like really, custom tailored, and also like just talk to us about how like the whole supply chain and the challenges around that.
So one, I think with sizing, having that large a size, the variations, the SKUs, it definitely poses a challenge. Where you
so do you get the customers to kind of do like a trial like on the website and all, or is it like, I mean, like how would the flow be for a customer?
Okay, so if they're coming through, so you probably discover us through Instagram, through your favorite influencer, and you're like, I want the dress that Kritika Khurana is wearing, or Komal Pandey is, and you would probably come through our social media account to our website, immediately find what you're looking for. I made sure that the influencer names had to be added in the tags.
So it's like the Komal Pandey dress,
Kritika Khurana, they were searching, put it in that
very smart,
word. So I ensured like ad tags, ensure that what people are looking for. So like the hero products, they had to be immediately easily discoverable. So they would see that, they would see, we had a very, very extensive size chart. And another funny thing with our size chart, we actually did, I think, months of research. We researched across like 20 international as well as domestic brands, because the copy-paste sizing of what works for European brands, it does not work here.
Correct.
We are not 5'11". We don't have those longer torsos. It's a completely different kind of a body. It's a completely different kind of a ethnicity. So I was like, we have to understand where is it going wrong. So the ones that we focused on, it was like the brands that were known for their fit and tailoring. So I was like, we put across, I think, 20 to 30 different size charts, and we saw what were the commonalities, what worked, what didn't, and then
in their product, in their design
and then like, why is this fit working? And we made our own custom sizing chart. So we allowed for more room where like the bust and around the hip, it was like, there has to be more variation because we're very blessed with curves, voluptuous. So the size chart is extensively laid out, and it's made for the Indian body, right? So it's tailored. Most of our styles are also more petite, girl friendly, and it's going to be understanding that the body, the consumer that you're dressing, and so they would find that, they would see what size fits them best.
So they'll go through the size chart, and that's where they'll,
and we also used to get a lot of queries around, okay, what size should fit me best, which is why we launched our size and fit quiz. Which, oh my god, so I'll talk more about that later, but so they would find that, they would add that to cart, place their order, and within, I think, 5 days they will receive.
And then from the back end, how would it work? Like, I mean, would you have like products ready across all of these sizes?
No. So I'll tell you, initially it was like I said, made to order, right? So we had basic inventory. I was so conservative. I was like, 25 piece का हम ready रखेंगे, उससे ज़्यादा करना ही नहीं. I'm not investing in getting, because you have to arrange the fabrics, the trims, everything. You have to ensure that you have that in house.
Yeah, correct. And it's like investment, right?
And also we were using surplus fabric.
Yeah, correct.
So it's not possible only to create
more than this.
Yeah, but then once we understood which product was doing better, so like our Carla, it went viral, and we had to create inventory and keep it. So it was also very data driven, where we analyzed. So we have a very extensive analytics dashboard. Where which are the sizes that are ordered most often, in what colors, what products, what categories even, and based on that we build our inventory. So say for our best-selling styles, we will have inventory ready because those we get consistently orders for. But if it's maybe one that doesn't get as many orders,
that made to order.
Exactly.
Interesting. I think that's super smart, because I think like again having too much inventory and then worrying about dead stock, and then essentially looking at the data and then kind of forward deploying.
Nothing dilutes a brand more than just like sale. I'm just trying to get rid of this. I've seen those horror stories. Dead stock was something that I never wanted to have. Because especially with occasion wear, the whole idea with Lea, I even say it's supposed to be aspirational, yet attainable.
Correct.
And that aspirational aspect wouldn't happen if you are just, again, being very cocky and what you think will work.
Correct. You can't be top down. You have to be customer first, for sure.
So that's why I say like the biggest part of our team are the Lea customers.
And now, like over the last 1 year, we've seen this, crazy expansion. Obviously, like your business has grown, the revenues have grown, but you've now have 3 more brands, under the Lea Clothing umbrella, right? So there's Sanj, which is in the ethnic wear. Then there's your lingerie and swimwear brand Lunch, and then there's Lea Looks as well, right? So like, that's like 3 more brands under one. So like multiple pages, a lot of supply chain, and especially like swimwear and lingerie, like that's a very, very complicated segment to get into, especially like from an Indian woman body perspective, and then across multiple sizes and all.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Starting a lingerie brand, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So yeah, I agree.
So what's the insight there? Like, why 4 different brands? Like, why can't it be under Lea? And essentially, like how difficult it is to run all 4 together across all social media accounts, and then managing the supply chain for all of them.
So again, the answer to that is the same as before, our customers. So Sanj was the first one we launched, and why that happened was because our customers were pairing our corsets with saris and lehengas and wearing them.
Wow.
Like, that's so cool, that looks amazing. And this is before, again, not even the big celebrity designers and all, they weren't doing corset blouses. We were the first again.
You created this trend.
And the one thing that we do is we really have a very engaged community. And I was like,
Instagram only.
Oh yeah. We have AMAs maybe on a weekly basis.
Wow.
So we were like, okay, you guys are really liking this, and we see you guys pairing these things, with ethnic wear. Would you like to see this kind of modern ethnic wear from our end? So again, it was completely customer-led, and the kind of response we got was insane. The kind of engagement on our stories, people were so excited about it. And why a separate brand? Because again, we were doing more bespoke styling, so it of course had more hand embroidery elements. It had like the kind of fabrics that you're using, they have to be a lot more like say premium, I would say.
And plus Lea as a brand identity was also like more western wear. And,
exactly, that was all about occasion wear. Like you're coming to us for your birthday dress, your date night dress, your bachelorette party, whatever, we got you. So with Sanj, it had to be a separate entity because the price point, the whole branding, the messaging, it wouldn't fit under Lea. It would just like hodgepodge
correct.
Like it would just confuse the customer. And
but there was a clear need.
Because we also had like, and more than that, we had a young audience. Even now, like we have such a young audience that's coming to us. Like people messaging me like, I'm saving up my pocket money because my birthday dress has to be from Lea. So that's what, like, so it was going to be a slightly more premium price point. So that's why with Sanj, even when we were doing the branding and identity around it, It was right after COVID, and I had actually lost my nani during that time, and
so sorry.
That was something that was really hard for me. But even the word Sanj, how the brand name came, it's both my grandmother's names put together, like Santosh and Lajwanti.
Oh.
So it was like Sanj.
Yeah.
So it was all about, you know, even if you go to the Sanj, like to explore like the Sanj story, it was all about taking those traditional moments, like, you know, everyone's grown up playing dress up with your nannies or mums. Things, and it was just like making it your own. Add your own personality and touch to it. Like I was someone who never really loved very traditional ethnic. I always like kind of added my own touch to it. So that was the whole idea. And again, that clicked. And that needed to be a separate entity, I would say, because it was just targeting a slightly more mature audience with a slightly higher purchasing power, with the propensity to spend for this kind of occasion wear. Right? And not to say that that's not affordable compared to what's there in the market.
It is, for sure.
I am very proud of our price point for sure.
And
the kind of tailoring artistry that we do, like our Adda Masters, one of our Mukesh ji, he's been with us for I think 25 years.
Wow.
And the kind of work that these guys do, it's beautiful. And I think from the design aspect, like I lead the creative direction, and then we have an in-house design team as well. So we just created something that was not there in the market. And again, like even the influencers want to wear, like Kritika Khurana and Disha Khurana, they wanted to wear that corset sari.
Interesting.
Again, it went viral. And then again, even on Sanj that happened, like Dolly Singh, all of them, like the pre-draped saris. Because I love saris, but can't I want to save my life? And I think that's the case for most of the younger women. So I was like, let's do an easier way to don such a elegant garment. So that's why our pre-draped saris, people were loving the kind of styling that we were doing. So that's why Sanj, and then
I think Sanj is such an exciting space. Like, I mean, you look at brands like Manevar and all, like growing so fast, become such large brands, but still not very appealing to a Gen Z or a very younger audience, right? So it's like people, those are the people who are going to be earning, entering the workforce and having that purchasing power. Over the next 10 years,
why wouldn't you want to service them?
Correct.
That's what, and again, even with saris and all, it was impossible for people to find them in bigger sizes. Like you have seen, like there have been so many controversies with like, you know, even the big name designers, I won't name names, but them being so fat phobic. And the fat tax is very real. And I understand, like this is something where I understand, like, you know, for bigger sizes, of course, the consumption of fabric, whatever, may be extra. But that's where I was like, that's not something that we can do. So that's why with Sanj, even for plus size women to have access to that kind of clothing worked beautifully. And and then similarly even for lunch, it was again customer driven. Because I grew up, this was actually when I was in UCLA, I was part of this society called Bruin Entrepreneurs, and I got selected for one of the accelerator programs, and that was where lunch was actually, the whole idea was there.
Interesting. So that was the first idea.
If I show you the initial pitch deck of what that looked like, I'm not proud of it.
We need to have it on the Accelerate website for sure.
Oh my god, I will cringe, but okay, maybe. But yeah, the name also Lange, it means like angel in French, and it was just quite pretty and it fit. So that was like my ode to, say, college love, and I was like, okay, we'll keep the same name. The whole idea for that was like, when I was growing up, again, we are curvier, more voluptuous. It's just with lingerie, size inclusivity is something that just hasn't been figured. I even attended an Intimate Wear Asia, like there's a whole fest, and I went to Lamna when I was doing extensive research into this space. And even when I spoke to, say, the founders of Clovia, CEO of Naked by Nykaa, the one question that I asked, which was like, how do we address the issue of size inclusivity? Because if it's bad or like hard for Western wear, it is insane for lingerie. Because there's band sizes, cup sizes, and the number of SKUs just go haywire.
Correct.
So the supply chain it's a nightmare to figure out, I'll be frank. But again, it's a problem worth solving. I grew up feeling very uncomfortable because the sizes that I needed as a growing woman, it just wasn't accessible. I again had to pay through my nose with duties, and that's something that I at least had the means. And you know, my mom was always like, this is something that of course you have to, because it just fraught my whole relationship with my body. But I was like, is there something wrong with me? Why isn't that there? So like beyond D cup, there were no bigger cup sizes. And it was such a huge struggle for me, and I knew that it wasn't just a single case. So that was the whole reason. It's just like, you know, even the tagline initially in the accelerator, which is like, because the alphabet doesn't end at D.
Interesting.
And it was such a thing where, you know, like it's so much like giggle, like hee hee, ha ha, like it's just
it's
this
talk,
woman is doing like with lingerie, and it's just like women's needs. They need to be solved. Those problems are there. Those are people who again have that purchasing power. You can't just ignore the issues. So it's a very real one. Comfort with basic intimate wear. Right? It's like duh. So that's why even with lounge, because when we spoke about it, and also with swimwear. Swimwear again for bigger sizes, and then also with a little more coverage option. You don't.
Correct.
Barely in the past, I think like year or so more have come up, homegrown labels, and I love to see that, right? But it just wasn't there. You had those frumpy little frilly swimsuits that you could maybe get in like a GK1 or Sarojini. But it's just like, it can't just be like either it's a very skimpy bikini or it's that. There had to be a middle ground. So we, even from our plus size on, they were like, oh yeah, would you like to see swimwear with sleeve options? Would you like to see, swimwear with like shorts or skirt options, but it's still cute? So, and again, I think we've never had more engagement on our profile than when we had that AMA. And we had 2,000-3,000 people voting. And there were over 10,000
and it's like an Instagram live when people are...
No, AMA, asking anything. And I was like, we're thinking of this. So again, keep the feedback loop short. So they're like, we're thinking of doing this. Because rather than investing and like...
And like you had 1,000 comments and like votes on that AMA itself. That's insane.
It was insane. And the way, the enthusiasm, people literally, they send us the ideas. They tell us what to make. Because you're solving their problem. You have to get them involved in the process.
Correct.
And our customers, it was a resounding yes. And it broke me nearly figuring it out.
And is the brand live now?
It was launched last May, and knock on wood, it's done really well. We're actually going to be shooting our second collection now, and again, it's just something that people have really responded very positively to without even investing much into it. Just organically it works.
So what would be the split between Lea, the original company, the original brand, and then Lange and Sanj today?
Okay, so I would say like Lea is definitely the breadwinner, so to speak. I think over 55% is definitely coming from Lea, and then now Sanj has really come into its own. Because initially, again, the higher price point, that was a turn off for a lot of people because they were used to Lea price point. It was like, again, but there was like a gestation period.
Trust and
exactly. So now it's really come into its own. That's why, like, when we went live on platforms like Azza, Bernias, Nykaa Fashion, Nykaa International, people are loving it, especially like, funnily enough, international customers, a lot of NRIs, because it's more like wearable, it's a little more modern in that way. We get
It'll appeal to a lot of younger Indian diaspora in the US, UK, Canada.
And that has become such a major source of revenue for us. So now I would say, I think Sanj is around 35 to 40%, but now Lange is also growing slowly but steadily. I would say, like, I think we still haven't even done as much, like you said. For brands, it does get a lot. But now that we are doing it more, like organically, it just started happening, and now we're really, strategizing, building our team, growing our team to give equal love to all partners.
And how often would you do new collections in all three?
Like, I feel like every second month now we're having a shoot.
That's crazy.
And that's another thing, right? Like the kind of content that we did, like again, no offense to anyone, but I abhor those white background Myntra photo shoot things, and I was just like, e-commerce, everything is visual.
Thank you. We're thinking of having a green screen here today.
Like I said, no offense to anyone, but it just, for a more premium brand, I invested a lot more in our shoots. Our shoots are very premium. Like even brands like if Bernias had requirements, they're like, no, but your images are so great, we want those only.
So you're spending a lot on your brand, on your content, on your, like, so you're not putting money in your marketing, but you're spending on the content, like, because...
Not even content, like, it's just because you don't have that tactile experience of retail. It's just like, even if I'm talking to my marketing team or my design team, even, it's just like, if someone sees this, like if you saw this in an Instagram ad and you wouldn't want to click on this,
would it give you the impulse to then click on it and purchase?
It's all visual. Your visuals are so important. That's how, like, at the top of the funnel, what's going to attract you? It's going to be the first thing you see. It's going to be the purchasing decision. I think it's the most important thing. So that's why, again, I stuck to my guns. A lot of people are just like, random see, aisa shoot kar lo.
Correct.
And then also,
AI generated kar lo.
And also featuring models that are, like, I love duskier, like dark skin.
No, the launch, the launch page and launch collection is so beautiful. Like, it's so appealing to a lot of people. Like, I was telling it to Tanya as well, and she said, I love the collection, I love the shoot.
I love to hear That's so great here. See, that's the thing. It keeps you going when you test that out. And those shoots, they more than pay for themselves. And that's the reason why people trust us and pay more for it. Because if you are charging a premium, you have to make it look like it's worth that price.
Correct.
If you're just doing a drab little shoot and like nobody's going to want to pay that amount for it, right?
Correct.
So that's why visuals were also really important. So I think we're doing shoots almost like now with the 3 brands, it does get a lot. But we tend to do, I think, 5 to 6 drops for each in the whole year. Like we have 2 drops, we break up, like for SS also we break it up, for AW as well, and then we have our little capsule collections that we do, like a Valentine's edit or like a Halloween.
Again, on trends and cultural moments. And
we did this one Halloween-y shoot because there were no Halloween things. And I really love Halloween. And like I used to participate a lot even when I was in the US. And again, I was like, it was impossible to find any Halloween-themed costumes. So we did like just with my friends, I invited everyone, and even like we actually invited our customers, like, do you want to take part in the shoot? Because I don't want to spend that much on that shoot. That was more experimental. And of course, we were like, you know what, we're going to, of course, a paid opportunity. And some of my friends, we literally just used one of our farmhouses with just one photographer. All of us modeled it on ourselves, had a picnic. It was amazing. And the way that collection did, it was great. So yeah, we do, I think we do have quite a few shoots now. They're lining up. We just did Sanj. I'm about to do Lange, and then Lea is also in the works in the back end.
And I think like one thing that's like incredible about your journey is you're still a solo founder, right? And like almost like a 50 people team today, right? Across design, marketing, performance marketing, production, the factory operations. So, I mean, how difficult or easy it is, for a founder to, and as a woman founder as well, right? Have you found it challenging in terms of like dealing with vendors, dealing with people, dealing with investors, right? Or I mean, and do you feel that industry is generally now becoming better, and you found supportive people on the way as well?
Yeah, so I think entrepreneurship, it was just something meko wo keeda chad gaya tha. Why? Because I am obsessed with my father. Okay, I'm like my father's daughter through and through. Everyone knows we are each other's favorites, and I saw his journey. Right, so he started his company with his brother, but from like they're a family, like he's the youngest of 8 siblings. They're from this little town in Haryana called Kaithal that I've only heard illustrious stories of, and they came with like barely anything and built like a business that is incredible from the ground up. And I think I grew up seeing him work. Like I used to even have these conversations being like, oh, all other dads, they come home by 7. Why are you coming home at like 10:30? That was in the initial days when he was launching his business. And I saw that. And I saw like, the pride that was there and generating employment for people, but also doing something that's your own and adding value that way. I knew that I would start my own business. That was something that was pre-decided. It was just a matter of what. And of course, I wanted to get experience first. So I think the solo founder bit, I won't lie, it was daunting. Initially taking the plunge, it took a while. I didn't have as much faith in myself. I was like, can I do this? Because it's, entrepreneurship, it can sound very like sparkly and flashy, but it's very real. You're giving up all other potential of a career. You're not going to be having that job. If that doesn't work out, how do you get back to it? And for me, my career is very, very important. I'm very passionate about it. Like it's my purpose in life. So it was daunting. And to this day, I think now it's kind of changed because I never feel more confident in myself or more empowered than when I am doing the work that I am with you. And again, this is something that I say this all the time, even with my team. It's like, it's a privilege that we get to do this every day. We're
and you've been building a
lives.
leadership team like around you now.
Yes. So now that's happening. I know, big girl pants on, and it's quite challenging finding the right people for the team, especially when it's so passion driven. But one thing again that I've been very, very, very passionate about and vocal about, my podcast was actually called Boss Brown Women. And it was all around interviewing Indian female entrepreneurs and executives and covering their journeys, which are fabulous and just magnificent in and of themselves. So our team actually, I think, is 85% female.
Wow.
And that was, I would say, it was a very intentional choice because I did want that representation. And I love to see young, passionate, ambitious women building this. So we're, again, it's like not just talking the talk, walking the walk. Right. So I love the energy that's there, and that understanding. I think it's a very innate understanding of the end user, because we are the end user.
Correct.
And I think on the investment side, there are so many stories around, if there aren't enough women founders, who's going to solve women's issues?
Correct.
Like, you probably wouldn't have as much of insight on the issues that maybe women face.
For sure.
Or even think that needs to be solved. And then how are you going to build a $1 billion business that by addressing like over 50% of the population?
Correct.
Right? So I think it is, I will say it's challenging. A lot of the times it's especially when hiring for leadership roles. And to be like, you are going to be reporting to me, and you have to be very clear and no nonsense in that, because people expect, they have their perceptions and they expect it to be like, oh, it'll be chill, or like a lot of people, they sometimes aren't even comfortable reporting to a female supervisor. And I've had those challenges, but honestly, every time it happens, it just reaffirms my belief of like how important the work that we're doing is. So it is, you have to kind of stand a little taller, speak a little louder, and occupy space. Even with investors, like, sometimes it does become a little bit of a boys' club where it's just like, okay, no, I want to be a part of this conversation. I don't just want to be maybe on the side with the wives or something. I'm here. I deserve to be here. And I will take up that space. So it has to be very conscientious.
Lavanya, like, your journey has been so inspiring, and I mean, kudos to you for building. And I think I'm very sure like a lot of young founders would get inspired by your journey, and would have the confidence to start up. And I think that's one thing that I've seen in the Indian startup ecosystem, that people are so supportive of each other. And I'm sure like you as a person as well, right? Like, when young founders would now reach out to you, you're paving the way for a lot of them to kind of startup. So again, incredible journey. And if like one last question, what's your goal now with Lea? Like, you had such amazing success, right? So over the next 3 to 5 years, like, and you mentioned that if you're going to build a $1 billion company, right? Like so like, but like generally, like, and such a mission driven brand as well. So like, what's your goal over the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see the business going?
So I think one, of course, like the community is great, and like it's always about paying it forward, right? And I think one person, like, it was one of the entrepreneurs who I was connected to, the founder of Power Gummies, Divij. He actually helped me refine this. I had that idea, but I don't think I could put it into words. So again, the community is amazing. But what I see for Lea, I think, when you think of Western wear, homegrown brand, I don't think there's that one brand that comes to mind. It's like, oh yeah, this. Like, if you think of Western wear, fast fashion, it's like, okay, there's a Zara, H&M.
Correct. And you'll see a lot of small brands on Instagram, and then you'll like the product, but you'll forget about them, and then you'll search what was that brand, right? So like, you still don't have recall for a lot of brands.
We've inspired a lot of those smaller ones into existence. That's a different topic with plagiarism, but I think Lea is so perfectly primed to occupy that spot. It's the brand. If you're thinking about Western wear, if you're thinking about occasion wear, anything special in your life that you want to have, you think Lea. So I think it can be the foremost Western wear brand in the country and beyond. But that's the vision that I see for it. I think it has everything it takes to occupy that spot. So again, the way that it is, even as a founder, taking up that space, believing that you have something worthwhile to say and putting it out there. I think that's the case with Lea. We've kind of proven that point, like you said, the niche. It initially was like, oh yeah, it's a very niche market, but that's a niche anymore because everyone has birthdays, you have special occasions, and you want to celebrate them.
For sure.
And you want to feel beautiful and have that.
You don't mind paying a little bit extra for that experience as well.
So even business-wise, it's great. And it's very, I would also say, like a little bit almost not exactly recession-proof, but it's still something that people will spend on. Kuch bhi cut kare, but like birthday ke liye to karna chahiye. If I'm getting married, like karna chahiye.
Correct. So like one interesting thing during the Great Depression, after the World War, right? One of the segments that really grew was actually the lipstick and makeup segment, right? Because during recession, you actually want to get something happy.
Exactly. So that's the whole idea. So I think it's gonna be like it's perfectly primed to be the biggest Western wear brand in the country.
Amazing.
Homegrown brand. And that's the journey.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of doing, and how to scale that. Of course, of course, it's a completely different journey. Like, of course, 0 to 1, and then like the 1 to 10, and then the 10 to 100. It's just a completely different ball game. But I am quite pumped to learn and grow and take it to that height, because like I said, it's a privilege to have such an amazing audience and to be able to have impact at that scale. And I think it can touch even more lives and just fully transform the way women just exist in the relationships that they have with their bodies and with femininity in general. So that's what I see. It's going to be the biggest Western wear brand in the country and then beyond.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lavanya. Thank you for having ACLR8 as a part of your journey. Thank you for trusting us. Since we've met on from the days, it's been so exciting knowing you, and you're building such an exciting brand. Can't wait, to be a part of your journey and help you, scale and be a supporter.
Definitely. No, I think it's even in the shorter time, you guys have been so helpful and so supportive, that I do feel like, it does take a village, and I feel like I'm building a pretty solid village for you guys. So yes, I'm really happy to be here, and it was